and welcome to the Game Birds. My name is Brie.
And I'm Alice.
And today we are doing something very special. We are doing a series of lo-fi games today. So Alice, do you mind telling us a little bit about what lo-fi games are?
Sure. So some of you may be familiar with lo-fi on YouTube, where you watch a girl at a desk studying and lo-fi music plays, but they are in video game form. So instead of just having a YouTube video that you put on repeat, there is an actual game involved so that you can customize stuff, pick the tracks of music you want, all sorts of cool features that we're going to get into to help you focus, study, work, whatever it is you want to do.
I've been playing lo-fi games for a pretty long time, and I'm excited especially with the first one we're talking about because that was my first exposure to it. Being a neurodivergent person, I definitely need something like this to help me get things done. And not even in I have to be productive to have a good day. It's more like to find time to do things that I enjoy doing, like reading and things like that. So this has been helpful for me in a variety of different ways. I'm very excited to expose Alice to it today. So we're going to get started with 3 games total, which are Virtual Cottage, ChillPulse, Spirit City Lofi Sessions, and then there's a bonus 4th game that I will tell you about at the end.
Ooh.
But we are going to start, I know, surprise, but we are going to start with Virtual Cottage. And Alice, can you tell me a little bit about Virtual Cottage?
Sure thing. So Virtual Cottage came out in October of 2020. Developer is DU&I, and it's actually the same developers of another game we play, Cats Organized Neatly, which is such a cute puzzle game. We're not going to talk about it, but it's such a cute puzzle game.
So good, though.
This genre, obviously, we're talking about all lo-fi games. All of these are going to be single player. It is actually free. So this is our free lo-fi game. You can get it on Steam, spend no money, and get some lo-fi on. And Brie, you mentioned this is the first one you actually ever played?
Yes. When I was writing down like the gameplay for each game, like my playtime in the game, I have 62 hours in Virtual Cottage. And yes, I will say when I originally got this game, I believe it was $3.99, but they are in development of Virtual Cottage 2, so they did make this free. And especially if you're not sure if this is something you'd be interested in, you can be exposed to the type of game that this is without spending any money, like Alice said. In terms of the productivity features of this game, this one is by far the simplest, but I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. When you open the game, there is a pop-up that lets you know you could set one goal, you could set a timer, and you can select if you want a sound when that timer goes off. And all that happens is you are just a tiny little avatar with your pet, a cat or a dog, in a tiny virtual cottage. There's not much outside of that. There are 27 lo-fi tracks. You do have the option to toggle on and off certain tracks. You can switch whether you have a cat or dog companion, and they will just kind of wander around the cottage as you are in there. And you can also change the hair and skin color of your avatar. There are also sliders to adjust different ambient sounds that you may want to include while you're vibing out. Fire, bugs, birds, and different weather types. So definitely the smallest game out of all of these. But the nice thing is that it does let you focus on one task. How I really like to use this one is especially if I'm looking for like a tech-free hour where I'm like, I just need to put my phone down. I need to step away from my computer and I need to focus on this one thing. This game is perfect for that because I can just type in my time, and walk the heck away. Alice, what are your impressions about this one?
This is definitely the simplest one of the ones we've played. There is a to-do list feature as well. Not a whole lot of interaction with the actual cottage itself. I think you can click on the pet and the pet makes a noise, but other than that, it's just very slightly animated and it doesn't change or have a lot of interactability, which is fine. I mean, you're not supposed to be interacting with the screen as much as you're supposed to be doing whatever item you're trying to do in that time. Something that surprised me about the lo-fi games is I actually did not expect there to be the ambient sound options. I super appreciate ambient sounds. For me, when I'm trying to sleep, for instance, I'm actually more likely to want to have like rain sound or something like that more than like a pure white noise, brown noise, whatever color noise is everyone talks about these days. But Virtual Cottage, I found it just really simple, really straightforward. I do appreciate that you can turn on and off certain tracks. You can set it to shuffle. Very basic stuff. I think the thing though, the fire ambient noise, when you turn that one all the way up, it does sound like you're burning the cottage down. I'm not going to lie.
Oh gosh, I don't think I've ever tried that one. That's horrifying, but that is good to know. So maybe if you're going to do that, just a light little crackling fire. We don't need not arson. We're not looking for arson here. Not today anyways. Did you like this one so far? Like, I know it's obviously like our first foray into it. Do you see yourself using this one in the future?
I think for me, I would just need a little bit more. I almost just wish there was more stuff for me to click on.
Yeah, I think that's more than fair. Again, I think this game is a nice exposure to this medium where you don't have to spend any money to kind of see what this genre might offer you. I do think it is also helpful, again, if you have like that one specific task that you've been putting off and you're like, okay, I just need to do this thing. This is how I usually use this one above all else. Or maybe if you're somebody who gets kind of overwhelmed by customization, some of the games we're going to talk about coming up have a lot more customization. And I know sometimes having all those options can just be overwhelming. So again, if you want something very simple that's maybe just like a step above listening to like Lo-Fi Hip Hop Girl on YouTube, then this might be the game for you. And it's free.
So the next one you picked was called ChillPulse. It's by Cottage Games, and it's apparently their first game ever, which is really cool. It came out in May 2024, so it's pretty recent, and it's $4.99 on Steam, so a solid $5. Just off the bat with this one, there's a fish tank and you can buy fish, and I pretty much spent most of my time doing that. For me, this is basically a fish tank game is what it turned into, not gonna lie.
I did notice out of all the games that we are playing for today, this is the one you spent the most time in, and I'm glad to know that it sounds like you spent most of that time playing with the fish tank, which is awesome. I love that.
It is almost exclusively the fish tank. Also, I mean, this one motivated me to keep playing because as you level up, you get different like scenes, not just like different environments, but like one of them is New Tokyo, Japan, and it's supposed to be different years of different stuff. So one of them is like old era 1871 Berlin, and you get just like totally different color scheme, different outfit, totally different look. And I just really liked the sort of like fantasy of it all for some reason. I kept wanting to unlock more and more scenes.
I think that's one of the really cool features about this game in particular. It's certainly quite a bit bigger than Virtual Cottage. Something I wanted to mention right off the bat, and it's something that I mentioned to you, Alice, when I was kind of warning you about this game. When you open the game, it has mouse tracking, which is, oh my goodness, I hate mouse tracking so much. But basically, yeah, the screen moves when your mouse moves. And thankfully, mercifully, you can turn that off. I'm not sure why that's the default. That is like my only criticism of this game.
Yeah.
Speaking of like motion sickness from like some of our previous games, that makes me want to throw up immediately. Just game developers, don't do that. Do people like that? I hate that.
I don't know. This one has some interesting features though. There's a sticky note board. You can have little cute sticky notes. There's like a phone where you're like chatting, a journal, calendar. Like there's a lot of, and of course to-do list and a Pomodoro timer. So like I feel like there's a lot in here.
Which I really like the calendar tracker that actually tracks focus time per day and tasks completed on your to-do list.
And you can mix a drink, and every scene has a different drink that you mix based on where you are and what I guess you would drink at the time, which is really weird and not in a bad way, just weird in like a creative, interesting choice for the game way.
When your character drinks those, they get extra bonuses. Like you might get more diamonds for the next hour. It might boost certain things. So there's also some lore in this game if you choose to engage with it. As you mentioned, there is a phone where you will text certain people back and forth, and you'll get a little more info about your character and how they relate to other people and them going on dates and things like that. Actually, one of the tags for this game is a dating sim. I will say you don't have to interact with that at all. It's purely optional. And kind of along those lines is also there's a letters feature. I am a little mixed on this because we haven't talked about this game, but there is a game called Kind Words that is all about letter writing, or at least it was when it first came out. And I had a very big issue with that because the letters were very, very unmonitored. They were very unmoderated, and that is a problem.
This feature, I guess I don't fully understand it. Is like I understood that I wrote something into the ether, and
Correct,
it's just is it just sending whatever random note I created like just to somebody else random, or what is happening?
Correct. Basically, you can write a note and it just kind of sends it off into the universe to other people who are playing this game. And if other people are interacting with that feature, when they check their inbox, they may get your message. I don't believe it gets sent to like every player. I think it is random. I did send a letter out just to test this feature, and all I said was, hey, happy Tuesday. Hope you're having a really great day. I got a letter back on Friday, and they said, oh, it's actually Friday when I got this letter, but I hope you have a happy, albeit unlucky day. And like, it was just like a nice, very pleasant interaction. Again, you can actually turn this feature off completely if you do not want to deal with it. Also, I did notice there is a report button. I'm hoping those messages are heavily moderated just because, again, because of my exposure to this in some other games where like the intention is very nice, but people are peopling sometimes. And some people have said very awful things, very triggering things. I'm glad that at least in this small interaction, I just had like a pleasant little message with some random stranger in the universe.
Yeah, I just checked and I did get a message back. So I just said hello from Chicago and I got back hello from Los Los Angeles. So I also didn't expect that somebody would reply to me specifically. I thought it was going to be like, okay, I sent it off to someone random and I would also get a totally random one back. So I thought it was really interesting that they're going to like literally reply to mine.
Yes, and actually I should mention about that just in case anyone has concerns. It's not like you have a username or anything or there's any information on those letters. It's literally just whatever you wrote, whatever they wrote. It's very anonymous. It's just small messages. And again, there is an option to turn this off completely if you don't want to engage with that, but it is just kind of a cute feature, you know, with the asterisks that ideally people are nice and it works well.
I'm sorry, Brie, were you talking? I was collecting all the coins from my fish.
Yes. I think the fish tank is a very fun feature. The Pomodoro timer, this is a really unique feature, which I love about this game. When your timer is going, you cannot click on anything else in the game. It grays out all your other options. And as somebody who gets easily distracted and likes to click around a lot and like try other things while I'm like, should be focusing on something, I love that the game restricts you in that way. That might not be a feature that everybody loves, but again, I am easily distractible. So it was like, no, you said you were going to focus. We have your timer on. Focus. So none of the other games that we have played had this functionality. And I just noticed that this morning and I absolutely love that. So if you thrive with some restrictions, that would be great for you.
Yeah, I know. I kept having to pause it to collect my fish coins. I was like, what the heck?
There's a bit more customization in this game, so you can change your character's clothing, the accessories. You also have a nice little creature who is sitting on your desk as well. And I think this is actually a very, very nice feature because I feel like standardly when you have a companion in a game, it's a dog or a cat, but you can actually have lizards, you can have bunnies, you can have birds. There is like so many different creatures that can accompany you. Granted, they do cost diamonds, which is the currency in this game, and you get diamonds from
fish
completing... You can get them from fish. Yes, absolutely. Sometimes your fish scrounge up some diamonds for you and you could hover over them to collect them, but also just from completing tasks. We mentioned Lo-Fi Hip Hop Girl, which is probably like the most famous lo-fi channel out there on YouTube. This game is clearly modeled or at least inspired off of that because it is just a girl sitting at a desk. That is all you see the entire time. You can change the background, the clothing, and things like that as you see fit.
I have a duck, so.
You have a duck?
For the record, I went duck for companion.
What a great choice. I just have a black cat, but I'm saving up for a different kitty.
I noticed both in Virtual Cottage and in this game, snow is the default weather.
Yeah.
And I absolutely do not want to be reminded of winter. I live in Chicago. I do not need that in my life. I always switch it to rain immediately.
Do that many people like really like hearing snow? Because I'm just like, I don't want to see it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to think about it. Like, give me a good thunderstorm. I love a good thunderstorm or good like windy sound. Snow, I don't want anything to do with that.
They need a Midwest trigger warning for the snow.
Please, winter's hard enough here. Goodness.
Well, I would say I liked this one a lot. This is the one I put the most time in. And I do think it's mostly because of the fish. And again, just like totally change of scenery. Yes, you're always a girl at a desk, but the entire color scheme, the background, the outfits, they all change at once. Just changing the entire scene like that for me was just like, I found that really engaging and motivating.
Maybe if you played something like Virtual Cottage and you're like, okay, I like this, but I want a little bit more. This is that little bit more. There's a lot more functionality here. This is the most accessible. Oh my goodness.
Okay, we're gonna have to pause because I feel like there's a leaf blower behind you.
A few moments later.
Okay, Alice. So the last game we're going to talk about is Spirit City Lo-Fi Sessions. Tell me a little bit about it, maybe.
Yeah, let me pull up the right things. Okay. So Spirit City Lo-Fi Sessions is by Moon Cube Games, and this is their first game. It was released in April 2024, so it's also a really new one, and you can get it for $12 on Steam. Something I actually really wanted to point out, the last two games that we just talked about are around 250 megabytes. This game is 3.5 gigabytes. It is a big one, and it makes sense that it's so much bigger than the other ones because it has a ton of stuff, and it is 3D modeling. So you are in a 3D bedroom with lots of different areas in the bedroom, lots of different ways to customize the lighting and the weather and the time of day and all of these things. I know that makes for a lot of hefty assets, but definitely a notable difference in size.
If you like this genre, but you're like, I need more customization, I need this to be a little more gamified, Spirit City Lo-Fi Sessions is definitely the game for you. I've been playing this for about 10 hours. This is the game that really reintroduced me to all of this because I was kind of off the wagon for a little bit, but I saw this game and I'm like, oh, I love the graphics. I love the mechanics of it. So just like some of the other games we mentioned, there's a to-do list. They just implemented very recently that you now can do multiple to-do lists, and you can also set deadlines for those to-dos. There's a journal, a habit tracker, and a timer. As Alice mentioned, there's a bunch of different sound options. This has the most sound options. But you can also play multiple at once and adjust the levels of those with sliders. They have cats purring, they have cityscape, they have keyboard typing, they have thunderstorms, they have a bunch of different weather settings, brown noise, white noise, lots of different things you can mix and match to your comfort level. There's also 6 preset playlists, which are also very, very lovely. You can also source music from somewhere else. They have a setting where you can go onto YouTube and play that in the game. So maybe you want to do a regular lo-fi playlist that you listen to, you could do that there. Or maybe you have a favorite comfort YouTuber that you just like to listen to while you get things done. You could have that playing in the game.
I could just listen to Hasanabi do politics while I play Spirit City.
You literally can. I listen to a lot of like gamer YouTubers. I like Let's Plays still. So sometimes I like to just have those in the background. And I did test this. I had a couple Markiplier videos playing. And I was like, oh, this is perfect.
Oh, heck yeah.
I did want to mention this about these developers in particular. They're a pretty small studio, but they are very, very open to feedback. And this was one of the bits of feedback that they got. People had said, hey, we really love the lo-fi tracks, but like I have a couple different comfort things that I like to listen to. Can you implement that? So they put this setting in based on people's feedback. And I think this is so great because I am the type of person where generally lo-fi will help me get things done, but sometimes I'm just in a different mood and maybe I want pop music, I want gameplay, I want something else playing in the background. I just am not always in the mood for lo-fi. So I'm so grateful that they implemented this.
Man, there's so much in this game. So you can customize the walls and the sidewalls and the trim in the walls and the floor and the windows and the lighting, like all the little lights and the every little detail about how this virtual bedroom looks. Like there's a lot there. And a big notable feature of this is what they call the spirit decks. So instead of just buying different companions like the previous game, you instead have to unlock different spirits by doing different stuff within the room. So different activities or setting the time of day. By doing those, you will get a spirit companion that kind of goes along with that. So I spend most of my time in the bay window reading. That's kind of my go-to chill look for this particular game. And so I just unlocked the chapter pillar. And so he's a companion for my little reading situation going on here. But there's also one that gets unlocked from doing stuff at the desk. I imagine there's one for every other scene as well. I just haven't spent as much time outside of this window.
Yes, the spirit decks will give you clues on how to find each of the spirits. These aren't particularly hard. It's not meant to be difficult. It'll usually say like, this spirit really likes the sound of fire. Then you unlock the spirit and then they get to hang out with you while you're doing your activities. I think it's such a cool feature, especially if people out there really enjoy body doubling. I think this could be a nice replacement for that, where if you can't have a real person in real life to kind of do tasks with you or be there while you do tasks, this avatar can kind of serve as that. They can do the activities that maybe you are doing. So maybe it is reading or gaming or browsing, things like that. There's a bunch of different settings that you could set your avatar up into. There's so much customization in this, especially with your avatar. It's different skin color, hair color, different clothes. You could also give them like little horns, which I thought was a cute little feature. You can give them like antlers and like little ram horns if you want to have like a more mystical element to it. You can also change the colors of your spirits once you unlock them. My favorite one is the Tanuki, and he has a raccoon color that you could put on him. So he's gray and white and black, and he looks so, so cute. And he just sits there and eats apples while you hang out, and you could pet your spirit if you want to. Productivity with like a little bit of Pokemon in there, which is super fun.
So when you set it to the gaming setting at the desk, which was one of the first things I wanted to watch her do, she's playing like a kind of Puyo Puyo game. It's similar to Tetris, and she's terrible at it. I just like watching her play. Like
She's doing her best.
But I really agree about the body doubling. That was actually something that came to mind for me, especially in comparison to the other ones, is that maybe it is because of the 3D element, or maybe it's because you can really customize what she's doing. But when she's on the computer typing, I feel like there is a body double. Something about how this looks and is set up for me feels way more body doubling than any of the other ones.
The fact that they respond to feedback so well, they also have added recently a bunch of different activities that your avatar can do. Before, it was really just like reading, knitting, and a couple other things. But yeah, now there's gaming, looking out the window. Now there's just resting in bed. Honestly, body doubling doesn't work for me. So it's funny that I like this game so much. But I think I just like the level of customization and, again, the gamification of this because it keeps my attention. You do level up in the game. There is a small leveling system. And when you do level up, you get spirit credits. And spirit credits you can use to buy different clothes for your avatar or customizing the room. And the level of customization for your room is honestly wild. They just did a huge update August 26th, but they seem to be regularly updating this game based based on people's feedback.
There's just so many details. It's almost insane that stuff I just didn't even realize was in the background every time I look at this. I would say this game does have a little bit of distractibility, however. Like, I did find myself spending a lot of time goofing around with the game more than being productive, but I think that probably goes away over time once you get it to what you like. Maybe because I'm still kind of newer to the game, I'm just having a lot more fun, like, building my room out.
Honestly, sometimes I was just like looking at my little spirit and just wanted to like pet him and hang out with him and like see what other colors I can make him. But I will say, I think that kind of helps with the whole productivity aspect as well. Sometimes a change of scenery can really make things more interesting for me. This game is all about changing scenery.
I actually think for me, this one is kind of my ambience go-to of the three. Just the quality of the recordings of the ambience themselves, like how the rain literally sounds in this one. I thought they all sounded really nice together.
We have not had a good storm in our area in quite a while, so I've been listening to a lot of thunderstorm, and that just is really doing it for me. But then I could still have some like birds chirping if I want that.
I was gonna say, I think the thunderstorm bird combo, even though that's not as realistic, I super love that combo.
If you're looking for that level of customization, this is the game for you. And honestly, again, I just think the graphics are very cute. I think the spirits are very adorable. They clearly put a lot of love into those designs. And again, they're adding more all the time. And kind of along those lines, I wanted to mention they just released a merch store, and their merch store is so cute. It's a lot of the spirits interacting in a variety of ways, and it's very adorable. It's on Fourth Wall, and Fourth Wall is really great for a lot of merch. Along with that, if you really love this game and you want to support the developers even more, you can buy a supporter pack on Steam for $5.99. It's just a little extra funding for the devs, but you also get galaxy coloring for all of your spirits.
Love it. Yeah, this game is kind of the ultimate of the three. Really worked up on the features, both the price and the features, right? So we started with free. We're now at a $12 game. There's a ton more here. Depending on what you need for your productivity is the one that's going to be right for you. And luckily, the first game we talked about, Virtual Cottage, is free. So you can kind of get a real little taste of this before deciding if you want to dive in and spend any money at all.
And actually, Alice, really quick, I did mention a small bonus fourth game, and I wanted to talk about that very briefly. I did not have Alice buy this or anything. It was something that I discovered, and it is the smallest of everything we're talking about. So I just wanted to mention it really briefly. And that is Cat on My Desktop.
Let me guess. There's a cat and he's on your desktop.
You know, as advertised, let me tell you, and that is exactly when I downloaded this game. I sent Alice a screenshot and I said, I downloaded a game called Cat on My Desktop. And indeed, there's a cat on my desktop.
Look, they delivered on their promise. Okay.
No question. So already, 10 out of 10, exactly what I needed. So this was made by Cola Cat Games. This is also their first game ever. This was just released in August of this year. So brand new. It is single player. It is only on Steam, and it is $1.99. Quite literally, it is a tiny little black cat that sits on your desktop. Really, the only functionality of this is that it's a timer. So if you maybe want a little bit more than like a virtual cottage, but don't want to open up like a whole game, the kitty's just going to sit there. It's again a little black cat. You can't customize that, but they are working on different cats. You can also click and hold on the kitty to move him around the screen, and he'll like dangle his little feet and then drop down to wherever you want him to be. He sometimes falls asleep. You set the timer, and then once the timer is up, he does a big meow, and then he says, "You've been working too much, time for a break." And also, sometimes he will bring you little gifts. The gifts are all just silly little things that cats would bring you anyway. So he's brought me a poisonous mushroom, a butterfly, and another bug. So
I'm sorry, is this cat trying to kill you? What's happening?
TBD. And actually the game does mention that. They're like, he shouldn't have brought you this. So I just think this is a really cute option, especially if you're like, I need a little something that's interesting. I think this might be a great option for you. I've been playing this for about 2.8 hours. I think this is one that I will definitely use in the future just because it's so simple. And like, I don't know, sometimes I just need a timer just to get, again, one or two things done. The meow is very loud, so it does wake me up. I have confused it for my own cats because it sounds very similar to one of them. Yeah, just a cute little thing. I wanted to give them a shout out because they're brand new. It's their first game. They're very proud of it, and they are working on more customization in the future.
Awesome. Well, I might check that one out because it looks super cute.
Did you say already what your favorite one was out of all of these? What the one that you're going to keep playing, you think?
I mean, I think it's tough. It's kind of a tie for me between ChillPulse and Spirit City. Although I did just already unlock all of the areas in ChillPulse, so we'll see. But the fish, I gotta feed my fish. But I will say like Spirit City, obviously like it is the one with the most stuff. So it's probably the one I'm going to come back to the most just because I want to unlock all the spirits. I've only unlocked a few, so I have a lot of work to do.
I'm probably going to keep all of these on and something I'm going to switch on and off with just depending on what I need that day. Now that you've been exposed to lo-fi games, how do you feel about them?
Honestly, I was kind of skeptical when you're like, we're going to play a bunch of lo-fi games. I love lo-fi games. And I have never played any of these. I was pleasantly surprised because when I think about these, I'm thinking about just the YouTube video of the lo-fi hip hop girl. That just never worked for me. And to have this level of customization to like really build out an environment in a more custom way was pleasantly surprising. And I really did enjoy them. I will be keeping an eye out for Virtual Cottage too. Like I love those developers from Cats Organized Neatly. So I'm excited to sort of like start on this journey. And I wanted to thank you. Like I was pretty skeptical and this isn't something that I would have thought I would be into, but I'm actually really enjoying checking these out.
I love that so much because, yeah, again, this is something that I've been doing for a while, and I just think it's a really great tool. And I think maybe people don't even realize that this tool is available to them. The world is very distracting, and there's a lot of things that we need to get done, and just like to do more things that you want to do, making time for reading, for meditating, and things like that. And games like this have really helped me do that for myself. And I just kind of wanted to put a spotlight on it because I'm sure some people don't know about this at all, and maybe this will be very helpful. And again, depending on your price point, there's a bunch of different options available to you. And these games do go on sale all the time as well. So in case you're interested in maybe a higher price point one, maybe wait for a sale. But we got a lot of different options that might help somebody. So I just wanted to put a platform on them. So thank you so much for humoring me, Alice. I appreciate it.
Hell yeah.
We'll see you all next time.
Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye.